Well, hello, everybody. Man, I was just jamming out to that Little River Band, that live concert. And someone had seen, well, who was that said that they had seen him in concert? They were phenomenal. That's all I can say. So good to see everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I mean, tuning in, whatever, for being here. Thank you for sharing the energy. And hey, speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. And that's how we call it. And that's how we see it. Hey, there I am. Wow. Hey, dude, man, I'm going to send you a message in time. You looking good, baby. All right. It shows you that time travel is a fact. It's just a matter of perspective, right? I mean, if I know that I'm going to speak something that is my now, that is your now 30 seconds after my now, wow. Yeah, it's like, okay, we have to do the math on that one. Anyway, so what's up, folks? Good to see everybody. So many good people in the chat room. Kaz and Elderberry, Mary Wins, Deborah Sloan, Chloe, how are you, my dear? Good to see you. And hello. Who else? I know Jenny is listening. She's still doing the remodeling thing. Hey, been there and doing that. It just yeah, you got to take it. What's the old idiom? How do you you know how do you eat, what was it, a 900-pound elephant or something? It's one bite at a time. There you go. Same thing for a journey. A journey of every 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Hey, Gogo, what's up? Good to see you from Croatia. Rick, good to see you. Favor be upon you, sir. Uma, good to see you as well. Lost in Space, what's happening? Rabbit Hole Diver. Love it. How you doing, Timothy? Watt Jr., what's up, brother? Good to see you as well. I mean, that's just funny. Lori, what's up? Saw the comments earlier. So here's the first version. Naked philosophers, we bear everything. And I have a couple of others that I'm going to be putting out there. So over the weeks, we'll, make it. Yeah. Someone was talking about my t-shirt collection. Yeah. I told Lan that when my time to cross over happens, I said, with everything, if everything is, as it is now, which is doubtful. But anyway, I said, we'll have to, I don't know, be a hell of a giveaway, wouldn't it? As we move on, Jackie, what's up? Good to see you, darling. So, what else is happening? Sometimes it's like really weird to stay focused in on this kind of reality because it's weird. I mean, and I know I'm not the only one because I read emails and, wow, people are having this sensation that it's getting kind of what I call in a spatial perspective. Either you're speeding up or you're slowing down, but you're not in sync with this version of this world. And there's a lot of the conspiracy theories out there that say, well, we're not in a stable timeline, that it somehow has been damaged. And, it's like you kind of think about that. If everything goes in a cycle, all right. I mean, how is that progress? I mean, if you're going in circles, you're going nowhere, right? Am I wrong? I mean, just my naked philosophy, that's all. Yeah. But anyway, hello, Panthera. Is that Panthera? How are you? Good to see you. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Bonnie, what's up? It's only temporary. Yeah. When I hear that, hey, Morgan, good to see you. We're not in Kansas, that's for damn sure. I always hear of the Stones, it's only rock and roll, and I like it. I mean, my wife and I were having kind of a brunch, and I was telling her, I said, isn't it odd when you think about if this cycle thing is real, then it means, and Gilbert, talking to you, brother, on this one, then it means that someone else brought rock and roll. I don't know. What is the song from Argent? God gave you rock and roll, do you? So I don't know. And I told her, I said, there is something harmonically that disturbed the force. Because I don't remember the Egyptians having rock concerts. I didn't read anything. I don't think any archaeologist has found any evidence of that, We don't have any recordings. So I said, something may be off here. Cheers. I said, this is just me. This is Wayne's World. Come on in. So the first person that hit a chord, here's mine. You got, it's, the pick was in there. That vibrated. That's a frequency, And depending on how your view is about energy, I don't know. What is the first and second law of thermodynamics is that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just in a constant state of change. Okay. But anyway, now imagine this. Hello, Robert. What's up? Hello there. Ryder Lee. Going to be doing a show with him on Saturday. It's our Lynn and I's anniversary as well. So it was the devil that created rock. Well, I got to tell you, if it was, that's where I want to be, man. That's where I want to be. I mean, come on. But taking this in a philosophical step. So I told her, I said, imagine this. Everything is fine in the universe. That person who said, hey, listen, I can take this guitar and I can put electricity to it. And then I can transmute that electricity into amplified sound. Wow. I mean, if there was ever that moment in the universe where it may have stopped and shuddered, that may have been it. I don't know. I mean, maybe the overseers that oversee us, control us, maybe they went, oh shit. They're going to create rock and roll. It's going to change the whole thing. And it's interesting, Ryder, we can talk more on this as well, is that, well, if rock and roll, because that's how Christian, theology sees it. Well, it does nothing but and it's true. They say this. It moves the soul. When I was in the state home for abused children, my roommate was Black, and James taught me, he introduced me to the Temptations. Yeah. It's like 13 years old. Blazing River, what's up? So, it's soul. I mean, you listen to some Motown, you can't help but not dance. So the point being that it does move the soul. So is that a bad thing or a good thing? Well, I happen to think that it's probably one of the best inventions, the best gift that we have given to our species is rock and roll. Now, music may be under that umbrella because music is diversified, it's eclectic in its taste and perception. But yeah, Yosley, what's happening? It. I love that. And Tara said, I'm black and I listen to rock and roll. We all do, man. Rock and roll moves our soul. And I got to tell you, whenever that moment happens, you leave with a smile because, yeah, I was a part of this. Many of y'all are as well. We saw I still remember the Beatles when they came out with A Hard Day's Night. My mother and her husband went to the drive-in, taking me with them, but to the drive-in to go see It's a Hard Day's Night. So I, had that going for me. That's all I got to say about that. Scott, what's up? Good day to you, sir, and everyone in the chat. He's what is that writer? It says, I 100% believe that people that listen to rock are mental and metal are smarter. Yeah, I agree. I can't disagree with that. Yeah. My first concert, I saw Elvis Presley in 1968 at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. But my real first concert was like the mailman in Chevy Chase's movie. But anyway, it was Grand Funk Railroad. Yeah, it was right there. Mark Farmer and the boys. Damn, that was some good music. Yeah. Anyway, so we love it all. We love it all. Distractions. I'm going to talk a lot about distractions because there's a lot going on that is distracting. Like, right, man. I mean, it's freaking everywhere. They got you over here. They got you over there. Someone wrote me an email and said, gee, never saw anyone just give up their salvation, And so I'm reading this and I'm going, okay. I mean, not like I haven't heard this before. How could you do this? You sold your soul, gave up your soul. Oh, okay. And the thing is, I don't respond to those, at some point, like the dude yesterday, you, there is a place for everything. And, this is not that place. I mean, proselytizing is, to me, is just offensive. Now, if I'm going to go look for a message, go look for a thought, an idea, a point of view, then cool, I'll go there. But boy, it's like me being invited to your house and, I start, moving in and start rearranging your furniture and, that ain't cool. You'll give me the left foot of fellowship right now, baby, right out the door. Brandon, how are you? He says, Christians are always try to shame others for being free thinkers and not being slaves. Yeah, there is a lot to that. I mean, I still got the challenge out there. Because distractions, I can say with complete authenticity that 50 years of my life was deep in a distraction. I mean, I really believed that there was this dude, bipedal. I had always assumed it was a sapien, but that's what happens when you assume. And, I got really deep into it, man. I mean, You have this conviction, right? And there was a mass hypnosis that took place in the late 70s and early 80s. There was this thing called the move of the Holy Spirit. And many of y'all may remember that. And it was this awakening to all the different denominations, that it was the opportunity to unite. And they called it the charismatic movement because it was charismatic. It was magical. There were wonders taking place. And there was a tangible power. It was tangible. And this began to move and influence all across, not only America, it swept worldwide. The charismatic movement, the move of the Holy Spirit, I remember. And then that began to influence politics. I dare say that Reagan was the result of that. Jimmy Carter was the initial beneficiary of it, but Reagan literally was voted into office in a landslide because of that charismatic movement. It influenced everything. It influenced rock and roll. Amy Grant, Petra, Leon Patella. There's just a number of, there were really good groups. I mean, very talented musicians. And I'm just reading Robert V's thing. Hey, Kaz. So it influenced everything, and it even influenced our perception of reality. I mean, there were many of us who absolutely believed that, we were on the precipice of this new awakening. This one was hijacked by the thought of a savior dude, but it was all part of the script and the hypnosis. And look where it's led. That's what befuddles me sometimes when I think about this. I'm going, okay, so what happened? I mean, did someone come in and distract us from what we thought was the original goal? Apparently. Apparently. And I'll say this, what I think, and this is just my opinion, I believe the one thing that contaminated that energy, that it was charismatic, and the fact that it was, again, tangible. I mean, I saw it. Complete strangers who would be drawn to a gathering, a meeting. No one invited them. They just found their way there. There was something going on. But this is what I think contaminated it. The prosperity message. Money. And unfortunately, what we found out is that money, wealth, riches, they all have a cost to it. There's a price. And it's not just here in this realm. It's definitely in other realms, because it again, what it does is that it opens doors. And a lot of people are not ready for those type of doors to be open. And these doors are of a spiritual nature. And so it got infected. And check me out on this. You can look at what history has written. Once the prosperity message, and it was even in Catholicism, all the way to the Pope, the Great Gathering, of the great divide of the schisms, was, the unity that we served a prosperous God who desires that every person be rich. And if you're not, well, there's something wrong with you then. And the problem was because the naivety of us back in that, we didn't realize that there was yet a stronger power. It was just waiting to feed off of that. And that's where that money is associated with. And it always leads back to control and power. You can call it government, you can call it whatever you want. But there it is. And the handlers of that deity and that entity are known as politicians. And it's all driven by money. Weird, isn't it? But that's just mine. And as that message got into it, because now people began to judge you or look at you by what kind of suit did you wear? What kind of dress did you have? What kind of heels do you have? What kind of car do you drive? Well, how big is your house? And you would hear this, that God is blessing me this way, God's blessing me, and then the increase. And then what happened? You live long enough and you see this. I don't know of any marriage that actually lasted through that. I've seen some come back, but for the vast majority of them, once it entered in, it began to change everything. So that's my 2 cents worth. And it was a distraction. Now, as I look at it today, I am aware of a different perspective of what was taking place then. I believe that it was a tangible power. It's not here anymore. It's gone. That movement, that moment in time is gone. And I don't know if it'll ever come back. I mean, it may have been our last opportunity. We had a number of them in the 60s as well. I mean, most notably was at the end of the decade, where it showed that a large mass of people, particularly young people, youth, and for the briefest moment, because the record industry is a whore. I mean, it's a money whore. That's all it is. But that was set aside. And as though, in as miserable as the conditions were, but there was something that was brought forth. It was this divergence of sound. And this sound had a cause and effect. And I'm convinced it was those type of concentrations of movement that led to eventually what became much more of a spiritual nature. Because the thing that I have found about us as a species, we are spiritually driven. Now, I believe that there are those who cut that off, and once that flow is cut off, they wither within. Not to say they don't continue to live, they do. I think the vast majority of the controllers are not in any way connected to what I would call a living energy. Seems to be devoid of that. And it is all about control. When I was talking about this, the thing is that if they can keep us divided, distracted, well, we're just going to be like, this way, that way, hurting. And I don't like the idea of being hurted. I don't. As I look back, as a Christian, it was, supposed to be second nature that, Jesus was the great shepherd and I'm the sheep. Here's the only problem with that. Eventually, the sheep get slaughtered in any scenario. I don't like that outcome. It's like, well, hell, that just sucks. Hello, Claudette. How you doing, darling? Susie Q, good to see you, hon. But shrooms, LSD, pot had a lot to do with that error. Yeah, I can say I participated in all of that. I did. I didn't see anything evil about it. I have in this group, this tribe, there is an individual over in India. I call him a yogi. He says he's a saged elder in his village, but he wrote, he said, you were freed very early. And it was interesting because of late I've been drawn into studying the Hindu gods. There's a lot of legitimacy that they may have been really the first culture, advanced culture, visited by the blue beings. But getting back to the point, yeah, it no doubt rewired my brain in probably ways I had no way of knowing or understanding, but yet. So, yeah. So this moment was gone. And, I look back on it, and this is why I can talk to this group and talk on a foundation of experience, not just study, but actual experience, immersed into it in a way that I was really completely, the best word is mesmerized, hypnotized, cauterized in thinking. Because your thought is controlled. I wrote this and I said, are we really free? I was out painting earlier, and I love it because I can talk to the spirit beings and the energies. And I look at this realm. This yogi says that I have the opportunity of, the fact of opening, as he said, the primary conduit that you can recognize and accept all different points of view and thoughts, but you don't accept any one of them as the one. And when you look at this in different points of view, I don't know. I was very much controlled because I came from the part where you read the Bible every day. Was on a program where, read through the Bible. I used to listen religiously, faithfully, to J. Vernon McGee through the Bible. And as I look back now, that is brainwashing. It's control. It's hypnotism. And you do it by key words. Why I kind of always when I hear someone say, and it's just me, the Lord, that bothers me, because either I am free as a sentient consciousness, sovereign, or I'm not. Now, if I say that there is a Lord that is over me, that makes me a serf or a servant. I don't like that, because I'm not free. There's no way I'm free. I'm merely an automaton requoting and reprogrammed to spew out the key hypnotic words, such words as salvation. Yeah. One of the key words. Another key word is sin. And all I have to do is barely touch you, and I can speak a word, and you won't even realize the word has been spoken, but it's going to have a reaction to you. Yeah, Chloe. Yeah. So you speak these key words. And I look back now, and I was totally under this spell, this hypnosis. But it's interesting because early on, I've had favor on my life from the time I entered into this realm. And one of the kindest gentlemen, when I was on my own, I was 16, and, you know, there was no place for me to, I didn't, there for a while, I didn't have any place at all. And, but one of the kindest people that I had met in that period of time, I later learned was, a practicing Satanist, Luciferian, however you want to say it. And the thing is that the guy was he was kind. He helped out, and actually I can look back and there was some real pearls of wisdom being spoken to me. But at 16, I was a pretty wild stallion out there. I had, there was a lot of hurt. There was a lot to be dealing with. And so getting back to this whole thing of this distraction. So while I was distracted in following the perceived rules, well, that's important. Because you see, if you don't have rules to follow, you're a free agent. But once you get into lockstep of saying, well, I have to follow the rules, which in this realm is for society to be able to be cohesive, there has to be what? Rules, laws, which basically, if you really want to get right down to the heart of that whole point there, it means that by nature, it appears that we're all wild stallions, metaphorically. Apparently, we all are free thinkers, but that's very dangerous. Apparently, we, as a species, and if you go further and you say, well, that as a species, we have these things called spirits that actually animate these bodies, and that with that somehow a soul is brought forth. Follow me on this. So it would imply that we were created as free thinkers. And somehow or another, we got wrapped into this thought that says, well, everything has to have a discipline to it. Discipline teaches restraint. Discipline teaches discretion. So then that leads off to a potential another thought that says, well, all right, well, maybe this is actually a boot camp. That the only way that we can come into our own as true free thinkers into the next realm, because I had a question today when I came out of meditation, is that, well, are we truly free in this realm? Maybe not. Well, then what makes us think we're going to be free in the other realm or other realms? Because this one's pretty controlled. They don't like radical free thinkers. We're always the ones that stir up the shit, man, all the time. And we do it simply by thought, asking a question, questioning the question, questioning the answer. So are we really free in the next realm? I mean, that would imply then apparently there's no rules, no structure, no hierarchy, no laws, no principles in the next realm, in the ethereal realm. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because most people believe they're either going to go up or they're going to go down. How sad. Because then that completely defies the fact, well, then what the hell is the 360 for? Just saying for a friend, you know. Because we're all going to go over there, folks. And again, I look back on this and I'm going, holy crap. You know, we're naturally gifted. We got many seers in here. We have many intuitives, empaths. We have psychics. But every religion that I have studied quelches those gifts. We're taught that those are bad. You see, bad. Follow the script, good. Because that's how it goes. And so my struggle now, I'm getting it, you know, for 50 freaking fucking years, there was this battle taking place within me. There was this hypnotizing God spell that I was immersed into it, but yet somehow something inside of me, and it caused conflict. And I've been allowed to potentially pursue those gifts naturally, allow them to evolve. It's hard to say where many of us would be right now. Fortunately, the good, cool thing is that we're here. Many other different outlets and channels and thoughts and ideas where other people bring, you know, adding to it. And the thing that I realized, because I was, this is so weird, because many times I feel like I'm in, how many of you are old enough to remember the theaters, like the old Fox Theater? These were magnificent assemble places and to watch movies. And so often I find myself in my dreams and sometimes in my walking visions that I'm sitting in the balcony watching this. It's a strange perspective, but so I'm looking at this and the impossible things that were done during this movement that we call the charismatic movement, where, you know, millions and millions of people were coming into this, adding their energy. And once they got into it, you became very focused into this message. And this message spread. It spread into politics. It spread into, you know, laws and other, because it was amazing. But again, the distraction in my point was, while we were focused on this movement, this unfolding, there wasn't anything we couldn't do. That's the remarkable part about it. The focus of, particularly, I remember back in the day when, you know, we were a part of a small group of married couples, and what we started in ended up becoming one of the largest churches. And that's my point. I've seen it firsthand. I think about those 14 couples of us when we were gathering in an abandoned storefront. And the thing about it is there was joy. There was this unrepentant joy that, come together by playing simple guitars, and we were beginning to explore it. And I look at it now, we were on a spiritual adventure that we just didn't realize what was unfolding here. Unfortunately, it got hijacked by a religion, by another thought, another egregore. But folks, what I'm saying is that I believe today, I think we can plug into that same thing. I don't know if it ever come again on a worldwide stage. There's too much going on, and that's my whole point. I was thinking, well, what is one word that we could think about that would begin to do this? And if you've experienced that, I've seen some of the comments where many of you were in that moment, and it was a magical moment, because we were practicing magic. We've been taught that magic is bad. Magic doesn't happen. It's been hijacked by Hollywood and horror and science fiction and politicians. But there is a true magic. We know that. And if you've ever experienced a miracle, well, then what caused that? You really think there was some old white dude sitting on some throne and said, well, let's see, I got Chloe's name here. Chloe, you're the lottery winner for the day. So what is it that you've been praying for? Does that how that works? I don't think so. No. But what it did teach me is that there's this reservoir, unlimited. And once you tap into it, it's determined how big is the spigot. You can have it from a garden hose to, a fire hose. How much can you take? How much can you take? Thank you, Chloe. Yeah, much love to you too, darling. And, we can do it. And so I'm thinking out there and I'm going, well, we had keywords. I can remember back in the day, it was always asking people about death, but not directly, because you'd have lunch, casual conversation, and says, well, you ever thought about what you're going to do after you're alive, dead? And then, it's the opening. Well, are you really going to risk eternity not knowing? I can give you the answer where you won't have to ever question that again. I can show you the proper steps that you can take so that you can be assured of what's going to happen to you after your life here. I kid you not. Every freaking time. But the point is, it's the same process. We can do it. Many of us are initiates and adapts in here. We're well on our way, and that's when you really become a really good witch, a really good wizard. Whatever. Be the master of your own domain. That's the one thing that I was telling someone. They were telling me, about how, you just don't understand the scriptures. And I said, well, actually, I don't think you understand them. I said, because your cat, that the one that hey, Nina, good to see you, dear, is the one that you're relying on, but his words are not what you are interpreting them to be. You know, the dude was basically saying, be the master of your own domain. Then you'll never be a servant of another domain. Well, that's sovereign, isn't it? Isn't that sovereignty? So if I have enough other individuals where there's two or more gathered in a name, so please listen to me on this, where there's two or more gathered in a name, there's nothing impossible for them. They can bind heaven. They can loose the heavens. They can bind or loose. They can call those things that be not as though they are. And so if we were to come together in a thought group and think nothing more than change, a simple word, change, I think we could really begin to change, you know? So that's just my thought. So what's the name? Now, Paul Joe, I just told you the name. The name is change. Can I just be very straightforward? This whole freaking thing about Jesus and Jesus and the name, it's a made-up name. There's no foundation in any reality. There never was anyone ever that walked or lived on this planet named Jesus. It didn't happen. But yet, I have seen women that were outpowered by men, and I've seen them make these men crawl like babies using that name. Is it the name Jesus? Is it that powerful? No. What makes it powerful is the fact that you believe and have been taught that it is that powerful. Hypnotism. You've been hypnotized. So the name can be anything. Just so happens that change is a very name that most people can remember. And then if you begin to associate it with me, with Chloe, with Jeanette, Lost in Space, Paul, all the rest that are listening to this, thank you for hitting the like button. We can begin to think of change. And it's a free-form word. We're not putting any connotations on it. We're putting no restraints on it. We're putting no restrictions on it. We're just thinking change. Simple. It's effective. If I were on TikTok, I'd do a TikTok challenge. Start telling the world to think the name change. Nothing else. You see, love has been hijacked, so that can't work anymore. You know, they've contaminated about everything, but if you take a word like change, I like Michael Jackson's inversion of change. It's a great song. I'm thinking about the man in. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're here already. We come together when I'm on here, and I know y'all met there on other channels, and Robert and others. But when we come together, well, let's make this fun. Let's just all start thinking of change. Think of it 100 times a day. Do you know how many times you touch your own face in a day? They say that we do it over 1,000 times. We're just not conscious of it. I love this. This is cool. I'm just reading some of the thoughts in there. Change. It's the one thing that I believe that this supreme consciousness probably stimulates more than anything else is change. Change means a lot of different things, but it means motion. It means forward. It means inertia, change. So anyway, just my thoughts for the day. And it will work. I really do believe that. And, I still ask this question, this whole thing, because as I look back and I reflect on the steps that my life, I've been so fortunate to experience, so grateful. I mean, I know a lot of people that in my youth that became very bitter. Most of them are dead. And I just kind of you look at it and you go, how tragic. And all the times when I had my near-death experiences, hit my car and I put my hand. This was a trip on LSD. Put my hand through a window. Let me tell you what it feels like bleeding out. You start getting this sleepy feeling. And then you get this little voice inside saying, close your eyes. But anyway, yeah. Funny as I look back on this. But you see, and you experience this and you go, okay. I mean, on my life, there's been favor over and over again, constantly. Which tells me that I guess that when I came into this realm, I must have had a lot in the bank. I don't know, but it has manifested, and all of you are the result of favor. Every one of you, Scotty Boy, Kenny, Rick, Jeanette, I mean, Nina, all of you. Every one of you are a manifestation of favor in my life. That's pretty cool. Because we're just a small little group here. I mean, we're not a large channel, We're really an intimate group. And, being on nearly a decade now, it's like, what the? It was never the intent, I can tell you that. Never was the intent. I see how favor is just manifested in so many of our lives. I'm reading some of this, change. Yeah. Wow, Pearl Jones. Yeah, that's yeah, there's a lot into that, not being able to sleep. That's not, it's interesting that why we have the necessity to sleep. I think it gets us back to where we were. Dance on the Waves, how are you doing? Good to see you. So, yeah. I love the thoughts, the diversity here. Huh? You see, that gives me hope. Because if we were to have this gathering, we would find quite the amalgamation of the congregation of diversity of thought, experiences, life experiences. Oh man, that's rich. I love cooking. Finally, it's cooled off enough to where I can really get back into what I enjoy, and that's the alchemy in the kitchen, because that's a true master. I learned that gift of cooking, knowing how to work with herbs and spices and different things, is that it's the ultimate spell casting, because if you feed this food to others and they get enrichment, they get joy, they taste the flavors, they're in that moment of almost unique ecstasy. That's some pretty powerful magic, I would say, huh? So, but it's true. I'm sorry, got thought going on what I'm actually going to be cooking. But anyway, I appreciate all of you. You brought this, and this is what it feels like every time we get together. It's a smorgasbord. It's a banquet. Each of you bring your own dish, and we can sample so many different dishes. Yeah, I know that I'm the cat speaking, but we're all feeding. So, take yourself another, hit of fresh air and then dig in, right? And Nina's right. You can put spells on food. Of course you can. Women have known this for, hell, I don't know how long. And in fact, in days past, it was a big thing that it's known for this. It's folklore, but I happen to believe it's true. Many a woman found the man that they were looking for simply by the spell of cooking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bonnie, you're welcome, my dear. You're welcome. So anyway, folks, be back tomorrow. Got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about more about numbers. Yeah, we got a few books, and we're going to get into a few other things. Susie Q says the Creator gives love and favor freely. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, and doesn't want to pass the offering plate. It's not just the money, it's your freaking soul. Get me started on the prayer of salvation. Lord Jesus, I come before you as a sinner. I ask you to come into my heart, to take my life. And you're going, whoa, back up, back, whoop. That is a spell. That's exactly what it is. And the problem with that one is that you're the one speaking it and you're the one signing it. Woo! Give me the creeps, man. That's all I'm saying. It's like, man, all right, I've had enough of this stuff. So there we go. Someone said, heard many stories on how grandma could always heal. Yes. And it's true. Rabbit Hole Drive, appreciate it. And chicken noodle soup. It's amazing what it does. It heals. It does the body good. Yeah. I also happen to think chocolate is a good one. Daddy Rabbit says, I moderate another channel. We ate together 2 years ago. I had a blast. What is that? This is what happens when I drop into the conversation. It's like, okay, am I looking to the right or am I looking to the left? Is this up or down? I mean, how do you know that in space, by the way? If you didn't have an orientation and if the planet was upside down, would everything that you perceived that you thought was in right side up is that it's actually upside down, but you would never accept that because the only way that you were taught to see it was simply right side up. Does that have the same connotation over in the spirit? I don't know. Green olives, yes. There's a lot on that. Join Nina on the Horns of the Goddess with Robert V and her. Excellent. There you go, folks. And the link is in there. So, all right, folks, this has been fun. Naked philosophy. That's what we're talking about. There's no subject, no topic that's taboo. Uh-oh. You'll only be a free thinker if you get that, right? All right, folks, have yourself a fabulous day. Isn't it odd that EV vehicles are not working? That's another weird one. Yeah. We'll tell you, folks, change. Think change. That's all. Yeah, just change. If you think it 100 times a day, and I'm thinking it 100 times a day, and on other people, we could really start, because the intent is coming from where we know. Change. All right. Change.